Charlie Kirk and a special guest have some absolutely horrific news. That is, for Letitia James, our favorite New York attorney. We all love her, right? Obviously a joke. Folks, I think you're going to enjoy this, so we're going to hop right into it. But first, do me a big favor, like our video, and also share it around. That way we can keep bringing you all this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
We're seeing in real time the emergence of a different type of presidency. There's ways to describe the Trump presidency that are conventional. Oh, he's a disruptor, he's different, he's taking on all these different projects. What have I told you, though? One of the reasons why he is succeeding is that he is an anti-abstraction president. President Trump always feels like the luckiest man in the world. How many times have you heard that? Now, on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, turning his head to the right at that specific moment, hard to disagree. Even 6 years ago, people were making memes about how often the press said, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump. And since then, the walls have been closing a lot more. But how many times has it looked all over for Trump? Whether his business empire being taken away from him, the January 6th hit job, literally being shot on July 13th. The guy has dodged a bullet multiple times. He survived indictments in New York, in Georgia, in Florida, in D.C. Remarkable fortitude, the likes of which that we have not seen in American politics.
Don't forget he got impeached twice.
The Gate conspiracy that tried to destroy him. He beat that too. He overcome all of that. And just today, breaking out of New York, he survived Letitia James's attempt to bankrupt him with one of the flimsiest fraud cases in memory. Today, a New York appeals court has thrown out a $465 million verdict in that case. $465 million verdict. To give you a reminder of how bad that case was, most of the time, accusing somebody of fraud requires you that somebody be defrauded. But New York decided, nope, not needed. Even though all of Trump's lenders came out and said, yes, he's paid on time, he's a great client, they accused him of fraud for inflating the value of his assets. And by the way, if you go to Mar-a-Lago, they said, oh yeah, Mar-a-Lago is worth $15 million. Mar-a-Lago is probably worth $900 million, minimum.
Let's not forget that there was a dirt lot in Palm Beach, just a 5-minute drive from Mar-a-Lago, that sold for about $200 million. Yes, you heard that right. It was a dirt lot. There was nothing built there. But somehow Mar-a-Lago is worth 15. I mean, it's insulting to the intelligence to even expand on why that makes the point so obvious.
It was so bad that after it happened, Wall Street panicked. They said, wait, how can we keep affording to keep operating in New York if they do this? I remember I met somebody in Scottsdale from New York, built a huge financial business. He said, Charlie, I sold all my stuff in New York after Trump had that guilty verdict, and I moved to Scottsdale because I was afraid that if they could go after Trump this way, these Soviet Union-style tactics will soon come after me. It was a political hit job from start to finish, and now it's failed. Now, this actually gets back to one of Donald Trump's greatest strengths, and I want to really zero in on this. Think about how many people hate Trump. Think about how badly they've wanted to destroy him and for so long, and how far they're willing to do it. And yet nothing they've done has ever been able to stick. Why? Because President Trump, in the best possible way, is a simple person. He follows the basic rules he's followed all life. Just like he doesn't drink or smoke, Trump doesn't break any laws. Why would he do that? That's how they take you out. Trump is aggressive. He understands where the rules are, and he goes right up to the maximum place in the betterment for America, as any businessman would, by the way. If it's something like politics or media, he breaks all the rules, but he doesn't actually ever break the law, and that is very important. He's a simple guy like that. And in a city of actual criminals, that short circuits people's brains. He's surrounded by actual criminals, and he does not break the law.
I pretty much agree. Trump doesn't break the law, but it's also important to keep in mind that laws can be a lot more subjective than many realize. It's often that, that's why you have a court battle, okay? And that's why there are plenty of high-profile cases where people didn't even know what the outcome was going to be until the very end. It's not so simple as like, well, this is very clearly and objectively defined, and if you do this or that, well, that's for sure what's going to happen to you. No. It's not so simple. Let's take the Mar-a-Lago example. You could take that, extrapolate it to anything similar, whether it's Trump or anybody else. Somebody could have a property and say, it's worth $200 million. Right? But then actually it only would have sold for $185 million on the market. You could get a clever lawyer, a clever but devious lawyer to argue, well, he purposely overevaluated it by $15 million. That's massive fraud. It's $50 million of fraud, in fact. Well, that's obviously almost a drop in the bucket at that point when you're talking about hundreds of millions, but it's still a ton of money either way.
Joining us now is a great friend, Alex Marlow, author of Breaking the Law. President Trump says it's a must-read. Alex, welcome to the program. We'd love to have you on at least once a week. Everyone should purchase the book, Breaking the Law. You have this great book, Breaking the Law. Remind everyone about this book. It's very important, Breaking the Law. And we just got the news today that President Donald Trump does not owe the city of New York, or the state of New York, $465 million, an outrageous amount. The appeals court used the exact argument that I think that you make in Breaking the Law. Please take some time here, Alex. It's very important. Alex Marlow, author of Breaking the Law.
Also an editor-in-chief at Breitbart News and a longtime friend of the late Andrew Breitbart.
Thank you, Charlie. And by the way, the book made all the major bestseller lists, including the New York Times, which is really hard to do. And your support and your audience's support is clearly a part of that. So thank you personally for that. Charlie, another dub for you, Charlie, as well. And the exact argument I make about this particular case is that this was a cruel and unusual punishment. It also reveals the politicization of the New York Attorney General's office, which is a clear violation of due process clauses that you find in the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. But this is an Eighth Amendment violation. You cannot have a victimless crime where Trump did not owe anyone one penny, and you assess him a $460 million fine that is accumulating interest. Now he would owe over $515 million. Tish James still has $175 million of his dollars up on bond right now. I imagine that's going to get transferred back sometime soon. But I specifically said Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. That's exactly the argument that was put forth by this appeals court today, why they're throwing this thing out. So it's very sweet, and it shows you that Trump's attorneys are also on point here. Whoever was handling the appeals, I think, brought the exact right argument. And this bodes well. There will be more appeals. There will be more things overturned. There'll be more investigations. Tish James is under investigation now.
It seems like the Trump administration is very intent and gung-ho about going after James for obvious reasons. And there's actually an interesting report on NBC News. Yes, I know it's fake news, but it actually kind of explains some of what is going on here. As it notes, the U.S. Attorney's probe of James is focused on whether her office used its authority to violate Trump's legal rights through its civil lawsuits against the president and his businesses, according to 3 people familiar with the source. The investigation is also looking at whether the National Rifle Association's rights were violated by her civil suits, the 3 sources said. It is being run out of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of New York, 2 of these sources said. It's very interesting. And of course, Letitia James is a gun grabber, so I feel no sympathy for her whatsoever. The Second Amendment, that is precious. Hands off my guns.
The one part about my book, which is very key that people will enjoy, is that it is a playbook. It is a primer. So you'll be able to follow along as the things get thrown out, as new indictments take place, as new investigations take place. Some of the stuff got very complicated. I think I've sorted it out in a very clean way. So you'll be able to follow along with the news as we keep winning on behalf of President Trump with these cases.
Yeah, and so what has surprised you the most? You've written this book, Breaking the Law. You understand the whole lawfare. What, since writing the book, publishing the book, theorizing about this very important argument, what has surprised you the most in the kind of genre of lawfare now that we're in August of 2025?
So let me answer it 2 ways. What surprised me the most while writing the book was the clear connection to the Joe Biden White House. Every single one of these cases had, all 6 of them. Tish James, for example, in the case we're talking about today, was making regular White House visits. And the fact that she was allowed to campaign for New York Attorney General on the promise of getting a political rival is clearly unconstitutional. And that was allowed and tolerated. And I can't believe that happened.
I can't believe it because Democrats are hypocrites. We already know that. And what's so hilarious about this is that they were actually going after Trump because he supposedly was investigating a political enemy in an unconstitutional way, the left was saying, back when he said, hey, Mr. Ukrainian government official, why don't you look into what Hunter Biden is doing and his son and all that, allegedly saying that, who knows how much of what the left said about it was true, because they always lie. And that was such a big deal. But then when Letitia James runs on, I'm going to go after Trump, Alvin Bragg did the same thing for his attorney general election. Nobody cares. It's just ridiculous.
In our country, and we tolerated it. But since writing the book, I have a pleasant surprise for you guys. It feels like there's much more momentum, whether it be the great people that they got at the Department of Justice, at the Ed Martins of the world. There seems to be much more of a hunger to investigate and hold people accountable. Since I closed work on the book, Jack Smith, the investigation into him was announced. And since the book was published, an investigation into Letitia James was announced. And then we got this great news today. So there does seem to be a renewed effort to actually try to get accountability. I'm as cynical as the next guy, Charlie, that none of these people get held to account the way they should. But it does feel like there's a new energy in Washington now to finally do something about some of these bad guys who are operating under another tier of justice.
Yeah, we'll see about that, man. I've heard that before. And I'm cynical, okay? How many congressional hearings do we have with Republicans where they go and bark at the Democrats and own them? You know, you see a Forbes video about it on YouTube. You guys know what I'm talking about. And nothing happens. So I'll believe it when I see it, okay? That's all I'm saying. Not going to get excited.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Someone in the audience sent an email, freedom@charliekirk.com. They went a step further. They said, Charlie, when are these people going to be disbarred or penalized for abusing their law licenses? I mean, is there anything that we can do? I mean, what they've put President Trump through, is there any accountability, what they have done to President Donald Trump?
The test case is Tish James, because she was so flagrant that, remember, she was tweeting out what Trump owed each day just to poke the bear some more, to gloat, because of the interest rates that were going up. By the way, Trump should have been making money off of that $175 million that was up on bond. He could have invested that in gold, Charlie. He would have had a return on that investment. Trump is owed interest. This is really important. Trump should be paid interest on all the money he had put up on bond that was just sitting there for a year and a half. He's got to collect on that. But Tish James is the test case. She should absolutely be disbarred. She should probably go to prison. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know for sure, but that would be something that should be in the realm of possibilities. There's no way she should be allowed to practice law at all in this country after this. And the mortgage fraud stuff, which is very legitimate, that's going on, that she's also getting investigated for that. So she's the test case. If they get her, then a lot of dominoes could fall afterwards.
Once again, I'll believe it when I see it. All right, I want to get excited, but I've done that just a few too many times, and now I'm a little bit older, and I know better. What do you guys think? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think there's going to be justice for Letitia James? Is she going to be the first domino that falls, if more to come? I don't know. I want to hear what you think, so comment below. And if you have not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and that way we will see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, Patriots, and God bless you all.